I've been grinding rated with Speedroids for the past day. I feel like with the new support, the Speedroid deck has gotten a lot better and much more fun. Like the deck is just very solid. It's not like your typical combo deck like Adamantipator or Drytron where you're just spitting out a ton of negates and you just say, okay, you activate a card, negate, activate a card, negate. You're just kind of putting up your disruptions like your Crystal Clear Wing or your Clearwing Synchro Dragon, or you're putting up your Baron de Fleur, or setting the trap card, which is the duplicate, which is really good, as well as having hand traps and stuff like Call by the Grave to kind of follow up with those negates on board. So this is more of a mid-range combo deck where you're not just setting up like 5 billion negates, you're setting up like 1 or 2 negates, having some hand traps, having some other, disruption, and then on your following turn you have so much follow-up with the speed rate cards. Being able to just add so much and have stuff in the graveyard to reuse them over and over again, like the Hagota and the Daiko Duke, or whatever you call the card. So I'm going to be going over 3 replays against top tier decks and just showcasing how good the Speedroid support really is for the deck. So I'm going first in this hand, and I have a really solid hand. As I said in the profile, I'm more focusing on the 1 card starters and playing stuff like the Call by the Grave and Ash Blossom for more utility to play around hand traps as well as stopping my opponent. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to start off with the Ultra Hound so I can like gauge what my opponent has. Maybe they have a Maxi, maybe they have a Ash Blossom and Joy Spring or Impermanence, just fishing out my opponent. And even if they do have it, I do have the Call by the Grave for a hand trap and Ash Blossom for the Maxi. So I'm going for the Rubber Band Shooter. And basically in this route, I'm just going Ultra Hound, send the trap card. The trap card uses its effect to special summon itself from the graveyard. And then now I have the Hound in the graveyard because if you don't know its effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target a Speedbird monster in your graveyard, shuffle back into the deck, and then special summon a Speedroid extra deck monster with the same level. So that's really good for returning back your Hagota to summon out like a Chambara or vice versa, as I said before in the replay or the deck profile. And for the Rubber Band Shooter, this card is really good because it gives you access to all of your Speedroid monsters. It also dumps a card in the graveyard, so that could be really good for some situations, as well as giving you an extra normal summon. So this card is just really good. And the main card that I'm going to be looking for is that Yugioh and the Terratop. You mainly want to get the Terratop in the graveyard so you can get the extra summon with the Yugioh. So I'm fishing for that, and I believe I get the Terratop, which is not bad. You still do the combo with the 1 card play. And so I use the effective Terratop, and since I have the Takitomborg in my hand, I'm able to search a follow-up play, which is the Yugioh. As I said before, you have a lot of options to go for follow-up plays, so having the extra Yugioh in your hand is just really good, as well as having all of these interruptions, because even if I got interrupted, I still have Ash Blossom, I still have Call by the Grave, and I still have Duplicate to stop my opponent. So I'm gonna use the effect of the Terratop or the Takitomborg to summon out the Red Eye Dice, and Red Eye Dice showing that it is so important in this deck because being able to change your levels in this deck is really solid, so you can go for your many speed rate options. So I'm going to change it to a level 2, and it's going into the new card, the really good card in this deck, and that is the Cork Shooter. Cork Shooter being able to add a speed rate spell trap card from your deck to your hand, or special summon all of your speed rate monsters from your graveyard is really good. So this card is just really insane, just for getting out extra bodies on the board. So that is really good. So I'm going to revive back the monsters that I use as synchro material, and then I'm going to use the effect again of the Red Eye Dice to change it to level 6. I can go into the Winged Pegasus. Now, as I said before in the profile, the Winged Pegasus serves as another interruption. So if your opponent destroys one of your cards on the field, you get to return back one of their cards into the deck. So Winged Pegasus Ad Ignister is really good for having an extra disruption for your opponent to play around. So it's really good in combination with the Baron de Fleur because it's a level 7 and I have a level 3 tuner. So now I'm going to summon the Baron de Fleur in defense because Lightning Storm being able to just bait out the negate is kind of weird. So having your monsters in defense is not really that bad, especially when you have a Winged Pegasus in your graveyard to protect you as well or disrupt your opponent. So I'm gonna set 2 cards in my turn, and yeah, I'm sitting pretty tight. I have a Baron de Fleur that can tag out next turn if my opponent doesn't out it, and if they do out it, I do have the Winged Pegasus, and then I have, you know, Duplicate, Call by the Grave, Ash Blossom, and I also have the Yugioh as well as the Rubber Band Shooter if they don't out that card. And I also have a draw for turn. So I have a lot of follow-up, I have a lot of disruption, and now I'm playing against Drytron. Now, my thought process is that if I stop the Zeta, because he probably would have sent an Alpha to the graveyard if he really needed it. So stopping the Zeta is just really, really important. Especially for a deck that, you know, there's no clear way to disrupt this deck. So most likely hitting the first card is very important. And now he uses the Harpy's Feather Duster, and I'm like, probably should have used the Duplicate on the field spell, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to use the Floor Negate because I do have the Call by the Grave that is really good against the Drytron strategy, and I also have Ash Blossom and the Duplicate. So I just prioritize these disruptions over the Baron de Fleur, and now I use the effect of the Ash Blossom on the Zeta, stopping him from getting into the Ritual spell, which he didn't search with the Fafnir. So he doesn't have Ritual access, so I'm sitting pretty cool right now. He does have the Nova in hand, and he used the effect of Ben 10, and I'm going to use the effect of Call by the Grave, just pretty standard. Ben 10 being one of the powerful cards in the deck, being able to search once per turn for a fairy light monster. So now he uses the Preparation of Rites. He gets to another Ben 10, which I don't care about because I already negated it with the Call by the Grave. And now I'm just worried about a Zeus play, and that's about it. So he goes for a Anima, and I'm like, yeah, I played around that. That's pretty good. He goes for the Gamma, and he summons out the Gamma and the Zeta, and now he's probably going to go into the Mubeta Fafnir, which is, you know, it's not that scary. If he went into the Lyrillus, it wouldn't be this, you know, it wouldn't make a difference because I just bounce it anyways. But he's going to use the effect of the Alpha to get to another Ritual monster, and he gets to another Ben 10, which is not scary at all. I'm really not scared until he goes to the battle phase because, you know, obviously Zeus is just such a powerful card. He goes into the Nightmare Phoenix, or not the Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Unicorn, and he spins back my Baron de Fleur, and I'd have no problem with that. I'm just gonna, you know, once you get into the battle phase, I'm gonna use the effect of the Duplicate, and that's gonna return the Nightmare Unicorn, and that's gonna protect my potential follow-up, which is the Rubber Band Shooter. And after this, I'm just like, it's game. I have the Crossout Designator. I mean, he doesn't have anything in him, so it doesn't matter. But I do have OTK on board, and I'm just going through the motion. And I think eventually he scoops, but, you know, it's pretty much game once I get out the negate. I think I misclicked, actually. I think it was, yeah, I think I misclicked on here. I should have revealed, I think, the Taketomborg. I should have revealed the Taketomborg and the Hound. Instead, I revealed another card turbo, and I got to that. But it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to make another Baron de Fleur, and it's pretty much going to be game from there because I'm going to be able to negate the hand effect or the graveyard effect of a Drytron monster, and he just scoops it up. So, learning from your mistakes, I probably shouldn't have done that, but it didn't matter anyways. The misplay didn't really change the pace of the game. So, let's move on to the next replay. Alright, for the next replay, I am going to be going second against the Virtual World strategy. And I have 2 hand traps plus a Harpy's Feather Duster and the Call by the Grave to kind of interrupt my opponent if Ash Blossom and Nibiru is not enough, as well as having a 1-card starter. This is like the perfect hand going second. You have 2 hand traps. You have Call by the Grave for a potential Ash on their turn or a Maxi. You have the Harpy's Feather Duster to get rid of the Chuche or any other stuff like an Imperm. So this hand is just really, really solid, and it is why this build is just really, really good. So he's gonna go first. He's gonna activate the city. I don't choose to Ash this. I'm just gonna wait for the Lulu, which he does activate the Lulu, and I'm just gonna Ash Blossom it because that's probably one of the best ways to stop this deck. But as you're gonna see, he's going to reveal, I believe, a GG or yeah, a GG. So he activates GG to target his Chuchi. He's gonna send the spell card to the graveyard, and then he's gonna use the spell card to get to the Roshi and ditch the Lulu, I believe. And he could just add it back next turn with the or at the end phase with the GG, so it doesn't really matter. He's gonna use the effect of the Roshi. Roshi's going to summon out the Lulu, and then the Nian that he sent with the Roshi is gonna spell summon itself out. And now after he summons another monster, I can Nibiru him. So I'm looking pretty good right now. He's playing very, very hard into the Nibiru, and he goes into the Stardust Charge Warrior. I choose not to Nibiru him because there's no reason to. He's probably going to go for an Ultimaya play, which he eventually does. And then I use the effect of Nibiru to get rid of both of his monsters on the board. And now I'm looking very clean right now. I have the normal summon, I have the Harpy's Feather Duster, I have the Call by the Grave, and he pretty much has nothing in his hand. If he had a Karen, he would have used it earlier. So my thought process is he doesn't have Chi-Chi live because he foolishly used the effect of the Nian, and he had to chain the Chi-Chi. So that was probably a misplay from him, but I still had the Harpy's Feather Duster to deal with the Chi-Chi. Anyways, he activates the Chi-Chi to pop the Nibiru, and then, you know, King Long is going to use the effect to negate the Nian that he normal summoned, and then he's going to use the effect of GG in the end phase to add the Lulu. So I'm looking pretty solid. Even if he has a hand trap, doesn't really matter. I have the Call by the Grave, and I draw into a Maxi, which is really, really good. So now I'm very secure. I deactivate the Ash Blossom. I'm going to use the effect of the Call by the Grave, which is going to stop it. And now I am free to combo off. I'm pretty sure he didn't have any interruptions after I used the effect of Call by the Grave. So now I'm just going to go through the motions. I'm just going to go through the regular Speedroid combo. As you're going to see the 1 card combo. This is just showcasing for you guys that don't know. So you're going to go to Card Turbo and then link off into the Rubber Band Shooter. And then from here, you're going to reveal the Yo-Yo and the Terratop. And that is going to give you access to the level 3 Synchro Monster, which is the Cork Shooter. I get to the Terratop. I'm so unlucky. I could have got the Yo-Yo, but instead I got the Terratop again, which it doesn't really matter. You still have the Baron play. So I'm going to go for the Terratop and then go into Taxon board, and then that's going to go into the Red Eye Dice. And Red Eye Dice, as you know before, I'm going to change the level of the Terratop to go into the Cork Shooter. Cork Shooter is going to use the effect to summon back the Synchro Materials. And then I'm going to use the effect again of the Red Eye Dice, and that's going to go into the Wing Pace at Ignister, and I'm going to use the effect, I believe, to pop the Chuche. And yeah, and then I'm going to go into the Baron de Fleur, which is going to clear off his maybe his Chuchi or the King Long, or yeah. So I removed the King Long with the Baron de Fleur, and then I use the effect of the Card Turbo so I can get rid of both of his monsters. And now I'm looking pretty spicy. I have the Baron de Fleur, and I have the Maxi if the Baron de Fleur is not enough. And he does have follow-up with the Lulu, and he does have the King Long in the graveyard. Probably shouldn't have destroyed the King Long in the graveyard, but as you see, it probably didn't matter, maybe. Probably was a misplay, but hey, that's why we watch our replays. So he uses the effect of the Pot of Desires again, which I'm going to negate with the Baron de Fleur. I still have the Maxi, which I'm fine. I'm going to Maxi on the effect of the Nian. And now I'm looking pretty safe. Even if he goes for a VFD play, I'm going to draw like a billion cards, and I might have a way to stop the VFD. If not, get rid of the VFD, and then he has nothing to follow up. So I'm looking pretty confident right now as I'm drawing like multiple cards. So I believe he's going to go for the, Shen Shen. He's going to go for the Shen Shen. And then I think he used the effect of the, Chuchi is going to lower the level and then go for the Cloud Class as, So he can go for the rank 9 play. So he used the effect of Cloud Class summoning back the, the Shen Shen. And then he's going to use the effect of the Nian to return back a banished card. And now he's going to go for, he doesn't even go for VFG, which is kind of funny. He goes for the Blafnir, whatever, the Mecha Phantom Beast, like level 9 Synchro. I don't remember. Enter Blafnir. Yeah, this card. I don't know why he went into it, but I guess so. He gets rid of the Baron de Fleur. He attacks over the Rubber Band Shooter and attacks directly. Or, I use the effect of the Wing Pegasus. Yeah, obviously, because I have that in the graveyard, and I remove his XYZ monster. Now I have a full hand. And it's pretty much game over from here. He's top decking. I have like a billion cards to work with. And now I'm just going through the motions. I'm going to fast forward through this because it's pretty much game from here. But just showing the emotions. I hit a 6 off the wheel. Now that's insane. So I have a lot to work with now. And I think I'm going to go for double Crystal Wing. That's probably the safest bet here. Let's see what I go for. So I go for the Cork Shooter. And Cork Shooter is going to summon back the materials, and then I'm going to use the effect of the Red Dice, I believe. Yes, make it a level 4, and then go for the Hagota. And then I'm going to use the Hagota and the Rubber Band, or whatever it's called. And then I'm going to use the effect of the Kai Drake, and now I'm going to synchro with the Cork Shooter and the Hagota in the graveyard. That is summoned off from the graveyard, and then go into the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, and now, you know, I just attack directly for game. So even if I didn't have game, I had Max C, I had Ash, the Call by the Grave, I had just all these disruptions. It just didn't really matter. So let's move on to the last and final replay. So for the last and final replay, I am up against Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk, I believe, and I have a very good hand. You're gonna see a lot of hands like this with 2 utility cards, which is, you know, Impermanence and Max C, or it could be like Call by the Grave or Ash Blossom, Crossout Designator, etc. And then you have the 1 card starter, as well as maybe a extender, which is the Take Tomborg. So these are just the standard hands you get with the Speedroid deck, and why I love this deck so much, because you have so much space for these utility cards, as well as the 1 card combo that can always bait out disruptions, in which you just have the extender to just move on with that play. So let's go on with the replay. This is pretty standard. It's just the opening hand, and since I have the Take Tomborg in the Terratop, the Take Tomborg in the Marble Machine, I'm gonna try to go for the anti-Nibiru combo, which is going to be going for the card turbo, and then special summoning the Take Tomborg, and then using the effect to go to level 3. And instead of going into the Link monster, I can just go into the Hagota immediately, and this is the, I believe, 4th summon, and now the card turbo is the 5th summon. So if he had Nibiru, he would Nibiru me here, and then I'd use the effect of the Daiko Duke in the graveyard. Daiko Duke will summon back the card turbo from the graveyard, and then the Hagota would summon itself back onto the graveyard instead, and then I have a Crystal Wing, and I still have the Maxi in the Perm. So that is just a really good play that you have against Nibiru, because this deck in general just doesn't play around Nibiru besides this play. So that is really good. So I'm just gonna go for the anti-Nibiru combo, which he just doesn't have. So I'm just go for the first Crystal Wing, and then, as I said before, I'm just gonna use the effect of the Daiko Duke, summon the card turbo, and then, you know, summon the Hagota, and that's gonna make my second Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. And now I still have follow-up. I have the Hagota in the graveyard. I have the Take Tomborg as a tuner, so I can get back to the Hagota. I have an Imperm, I have a Maxi, and 2 Crystal Wings. So I have 4 disruptions against my opponent that is playing the Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk strategy. So I'm looking pretty solid, and yeah, I'm not really scared, especially because I have Maxi against the Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk archetype. So he activates the Tenki. He's going to add the Fractal. Fractal is going to use its effect to send the Kit, and then Kit dumps the Nerval. I'm not going to negate this. I'd rather just negate the effect to summon from the extra deck with the Kiras, or, you know, a Fractal or Kit, whatever he normally summons. Use the effect of a Bird Call. I'm not going to use the Maxi. I can just wait. Like, there's no reason to activate it right now. I'm going to use the effect of the Kiras. Kiras is going to ditch the Cobalt Sparrow that he added, I believe. And I'm just going to chain the Maxi and just say, if you have an answer, you know, just answer it. Even then, if he has like an Ash Blossom, I can just, you know, Crystal Wing negate it. And now he's pretty much pressured. And now I use the effect of the, or he used the effect of the Crystal Wing, or words. He uses the effect of the Kiras, in which I respond with the Crystal Wing to negate it. And now he just scoops it up because this board is just really good. I drew into a Yugioh, which is going to be really, really good for the following turn, because I was, you know, summoning out the Terratop from the graveyard, and then that's going to get a search. And then I'll get the Hagota and the Terratop, which are going to be extra pluses and stuff like that. And I still have Crystal Wing on the board. So it was just way beyond game. And I had Maxi to stop him, and Perm, and another Crystal Wing. So it was just way too good. So I'm going to be showcasing the deck profile, and then I'll end off today's video. So here is the updated deck. It's nothing really changed from what I uploaded a day ago. But I did change the 3rd Nibiru for the 2nd Den Daiko Duke, because it comes up where you have, you know, Ultra Hound in a grind game, and you don't have really anything to send. You already sent the duplicate like turns ago, or you already used the effect of the duplicate in the graveyard, you don't really want to send a card turbo because it doesn't really do nothing unless you already have something. So having that extra copy of the Den Den Daiko Duke in the Grime game, so you can send it to the graveyard with the effect of the Ultra Hand. Also, it's not really that bad to draw. You can always normal summon it and then special summon one of your tuner extenders or your Taketomborg, and then go into the Link monster, or have the effect of the will discarded into the graveyard so you can use the effect in the graveyard. So it's not that bad. So I just bumped it up to 2 because, you know, I sometimes get into grind games with the Speedroid deck. So everything else is pretty standard. As I said before, you have a lot of utility. You have the Maxi, you have the Ash Blossom, Nibiru, you have the Imperm, then the Call by the Grave, the Harpy's Feather Duster, and the Crossout Designator. And then you have the 1-card starters / 2-card starters, which are your Marble Machine, your Terratop, your Ultra Hound, and your Wheel that can always get you to at least 1 monster, if not 2 monsters. And then you have your extenders, which is your Card Turbo and your Taketomborg, and then you have your tuner monsters that you need in your deck for the Taketomborg or the Ultra Hound, which is your Den Daiko Duke or your Red Eye Dice. And then you have your trap card as a searchable from the deck, with your Fork Shooter, and the double Yo-Yo, which is really good to summon back stuff like the Terratop to get its search. And then for the extra deck, it's still pretty standard. I haven't changed anything because this extra deck has been really good for me in the TCG, and it feels like it's the same for Master Duel, because a lot of people were questioning, like, why are you playing 3 Crystal Wing, or why you're not playing this card. Like, these cards are just what comes up very often for me in this deck, and there's no reason to kind of go into these other routes that just rarely come up, like the Shen, the Crystal Clear Wing. You have just like a lot of these other Wind Synchro monsters. You have the Rap type monster from the Adamantipator archetype, and yeah, so this is just standard for my extra deck. I don't think anything is bad. I think this extra deck is very perfect how it is. The main deck could probably be changed up a little bit, maybe fit in like a hand trap or 2, but overall it's just a really solid deck. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Hasty Horse. This card is very good. It says if you have no cards in that column, you can just special summon this card from your hand in attack position, and then if another card is placed in the column that this card is in, it destroys itself. But the most important thing is that it's a wind monster that can special summon itself from the hand, and it gets you to stuff like your Kite Drake, as well as your Rubber Band Shooter, which Kite Drake is really good. Again, going second, as I said before in my deck profile, like summoning out like a Hasty Horse, then summon a level 3 without your normal summon it, and then go into the Kite Drake, and then use the Kite Drake to just bait out one of their negates, or if they don't, they just lose their entire field. And if they destroy it and it's sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect, you get to add a Speedroid card. So if they destroy it, you can just add a Terratop, and then Terratop, you know, uses the effect to, you know, add another card and special summon yourself, and you can just go off from there. So the HCRs is really good, but it's just no space for it. I prioritize stuff like Call by the Grave, like the Crossout Designator, you know, 3 Whale, the 3 Duplicate, because it's just really solid to just set on your field and extend your plays in the graveyard. So it's just like really solid. It's really solid deck, and I just don't want to cut any of these cards for something that's just not really necessary in the deck. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's been a long video, but I just wanted to showcase how good the Speedroid deck is, because it's really underrated. A lot of people think like this deck is just kind of, you know, bad because it just summons, you know, 2 disruptions, which is like Crystal Wing, or the 1 disruption with the Baron the Floor, and maybe like a Wing Pegasus in the graveyard. But there's a lot of utility with this deck. There's a lot of follow-up with this deck, and there's just a lot of 1-card starters in this deck that just make it very good, like a lot of other decks like the Prank Kids and the Live Twin deck. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I am out. Peace.